Well, hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Recipe Reader, brought to you by Storytime in Stephanie's Kitchen, a podcast to whet your appetite, introduce you to tantalizing recipes and cookbooks, and motivate you to try something new. Hi, my name is Stephanie, and I have collected, tested, and curated recipes for over 50 years, playing in the kitchen since the wee age of 8, and finally finding time to deep dive into my vast collection of cookbooks lining my bookshelves. So please, cozy up, pour a glass of wine or beverage of your choice, and enjoy the sweet sounds of recipes and the stories they share. I'm so glad you could join me today for today's recipe read aloud, coming to you from Storytime in Stephanie's Kitchen. This one is actually a recipe found at the end of a picture book biography. Now, some of you may know that I am now a retired elementary school librarian. One of my favorite things to do was purchasing books for our school library, and I was very excited whenever I could find a perfect food-related picture book to celebrate community and story and, well, food. And so today's book is actually called Niki Nakayama, A Chef's Tale in 13 Bites, which is a biography about a chef named Niki Nakayama. And I'll read to you from the inside cover so that you can learn a little bit more about this book. When Niki was a kid, she hungered to create her own life story. She liked to imagine, explore, and invent. Most of all, Niki loved designing her own recipes, like mini pizzas made from jarred pasta sauce, cheese, and wonton wrappers. Niki went on to become one of the most celebrated chefs, earning 2 Michelin stars for her dynamic take on a traditional Japanese cuisine, kaiseki. But her road to success wasn't easy. At every step of the way, important people, from teachers to food critics, said a woman couldn't be a master chef. This is the story of how one little girl grew up to prove them wrong, told in 13 delicious bites. Come, sit, taste. Now, I am not able to read the actual picture book to you, copyright issues, you know all that. But I am here to read the recipe to you so that you can enjoy what this book has to offer, and hopefully it will inspire you to make the recipe and possibly even purchase the book. This book is written by Jamie Michalak, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, and Debbie Michiko Florence. It's illustrated by Yuko Jones, and the copyright is 2021. Now, we have, later on in my notes, I will have a link to Jamie Michalak's webpage, Debbie Michiko Florence's webpage, and Yuko Jones, so that you can explore their websites and learn a little bit more about them. I will read to you from the back of the book and tell you what kaiseki means. Kaiseki was first served in 16th century Japan at monastery tea ceremonies. It began as a simple vegetarian meal. Over the centuries, it evolved into a feast of many courses, presented in a certain order for a variety of tastes and textures. Traditionally served at a ryokan, kaiseki is a meal at one with nature. Kaiseki chefs use what's offered locally each season, like the garden's vegetables, fresh caught fish, and edible flowers. Each dish reminds diners to enjoy their present time and place. Chef Niki will never forget the first time she experienced such a meal. After exploring the tastes of Tokyo, she traveled north to her cousin's ryokan in Niigata Prefecture and discovered kaiseki. The map art in this book was drawn at varying scales to reflect her meandering travels and passion for food as she came to understand Japanese cuisine. Now, Chef Niki makes what she calls modern kaiseki, taking the traditional Japanese culinary art form and interpreting it in her own way. She says, "The best compliment is when guests come and say, 'I can see that it's different from Japanese food, but at the core it tastes like a Japanese person made it.'" Chef Niki loves that kaiseki is about more than just feeding people. At Naka, she thanks each of her guests personally. "Kaiseki is about bringing people together," she says, "and making people happy through food." And now we have a recipe. Wonton pizza recipe. Makes 12 mini pizzas. Ingredients: 36 wonton wrappers, 8 ounces tomato sauce, 6 ounces shredded mozzarella, cooking oil for greasing the baking sheet, Italian seasonings, optional, extra toppings like veggies or pepperoni, optional. Instructions: preheat the oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Always be sure to have an adult help you when you use the stove or oven. 1. Lightly grease 2 baking sheets. 1 will also do. You can work in 2 batches of 6. 2. Stack 3 wrappers, assuming they're very thin, on top of one another. Fold each of the 4 sides up and over 1/4 inch to make a square crust. Press down on each fold so it stays put. Do this again for the remaining 11 pizzas and place them on your baking sheets. 3. Spoon 1 to 2 teaspoons of sauce onto each pizza square. Sprinkle cheese on top and then add spices to taste. Use any extra toppings you want, but be sure they are in small pieces so they cook evenly with the rest of the pizza. Bake pizzas for 7 to 10 minutes or until the crust is brown and the cheese is bubbling. Let cool slightly, then dig in. Helpful tips: it's normal to have leftover sauce and cheese. If the pizzas are soggy, try pre-baking the crust for 3 minutes before adding sauce and toppings. As you can see, this is a very nice little adaptation to a pizza, and I've actually made it and I enjoyed it, and I hope that you will make it and enjoy it and find out more about all of these important people in our world. I'm glad that you were here to listen to Niki Nakayama's recipe in A Chef's Tale in 13 Bites. As you can see, we have just scratched the surface of this amazing collection of recipes. If you would like more information about this cookbook, please take a look at the notes I have provided. And most of all, please join me for our next delicious recipe read aloud here at Storytime in Stephanie's Kitchen. As always, keep reading and cooking.